In today's lesson, we're going to have a look at angles in polygons. To do this, I'm going to introduce how we can work out the sum of all of the angles inside of a polygon. Before we do this, it's obviously important to make sure we can recognise the names of each of these shapes and how many sides they have. So, firstly, we have a three-sided shape, which is a triangle. Secondly is a four-sided shape. Now this specific one is a square, however the general name for that is a quadrilateral. We have a five-sided shape, which is a pentagon. The next is a six-sided shape, which is a hexagon. Next we have our seven-sided shape, which is a heptagon, also sometimes referred to as a septagon. And lastly we have our eight-sided shape, which is an octagon. This list does of course continue, and you have a nine-sided shape, which is a nonagon, a 10-sided shape, which is a decagon, an 11-sided shape, which is a hendecagon, and a 12-sided shape, which is a dodecagon. I've left the last row blank as I'm going to use it as a space to work out a general rule for working out the sum of angles in a polygon. The next column asks us how many triangles are in each of these shapes. What that means is if I take any point on my shape and join it to all of the others, how many triangles are formed. Now this might seem obvious, but in a triangle we end up with one triangle. In a quadrilateral I could split it like this and I end up with two triangles in total. For a pentagon, doing the same thing, I get 1, 2, 3 triangles. For the hexagon I get 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. For a heptagon, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triangles. And lastly for my octagon, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triangles. Because of the way that I've split it up, if we look at each individual angle inside all of those triangles, it actually makes the total for the interior angles in that polygon. Using the fact that angles in a triangle are 180 degrees, I can use that to work out the sum of all the angles in each of these polygons. So, I have my triangle, which is one triangle, and therefore 180 degrees. My quadrilateral I know is two triangles, that's two lots of 180, which is 360 degrees. My pentagon is three lots of 180 degrees because there's three triangles, that is 540 degrees. And lastly my hexagon is four triangles, so four lots of 180 degrees, that is 720 degrees in total. I also have my heptagon that has 5 triangles, so 5 lots of 180 is 900 degrees in total. And lastly my octagon, which has 6 triangles, so 6 lots of 180 is 1080 degrees. So thinking more generally about that, if we had a shape which has n sides, we could say that the number of triangles is always 2 less than the number of sides, and therefore to work out the sum of the angles I want to take the number of triangles that I've got, that's n minus 2, and then times it by 180. We can therefore say more generally that the sum of angles in a polygon is n minus 2 times 180, where n is the number of sides. There are also some other things which are useful to recognise. First of all all of these angles which are inside my shape, they are all called interior angles. If I extend the line out from any of those corners where the angles are formed, I get what is called exterior angles. So this, 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 and this are all exterior angles. Because they are made by extending a straight line out, we can say that the interior and exterior angles add up to 180 degrees. We can also use this diagram to help us think about the sum of exterior angles. That's all of the angles on the outside of our shape added together. Here is a video demonstration to help us think about what this would give us. As you can see, by taking our polygon and shrinking it down to a point, all of our exterior angles make a full turn. That's 360 degrees in total. That is true for any polygon we choose. So we can say the sum of exterior angles always equals 360 degrees. Lastly, it's important to recognise that a regular shape means that all of the sides are equal and all of the angles are equal as well. So, using these rules, let's look at the different types of questions we could be asked. In our example, it's given that we have a regular shape that has 10 sides, and for part A, we're asked to work out the sum of interior angles. To do this, I can use my rule that says the sum of interior angles is n minus 2 times 180 degrees. So I can start the question by saying that n is equal to 10, that's the number of sides. I know using my rule that I want to calculate 10 minus 2 times by 180 degrees, and I can use my calculator to help me work this out. Making sure I put the 10 minus 2 in brackets because I want my calculator to do that first, and then times by 180, and that gives me the sum of interior angles to be 1440. I can now use the fact that my shape is regular to work out part B and part C. For part B, it asks me to work out one of the interior angles if my shape is regular. Because I know that the sum of all of the interior angles is 1440, I can divide that by the number of sides, which is 10, to work out what one of these angles would be. Again, if this is more complicated, I can use my calculator to help me work this out. So 1440 divided by 10 gives me an answer of 144 degrees. Lastly, for part C, I want to work out what one of the exterior angles are. Now I know that the interior and exterior angles always add up to 180 degrees because they make a straight line. So I can simply do 180 subtract my interior angle, which is 144, to get my answer. Again, if I need to, I can use my calculator to work this out. So 180 subtract 144 gives me an exterior angle of 36 degrees. Your first task is to complete the questions that are displayed on the screen right now. It's attached to show my homework in the resources to help you section, however you can just pause the video and work from the screen. Please make sure you put all of your working out and answers neatly into your maths book. For each question, you're given the number of sides of a regular polygon, and it asks you to work out the sum of the interior angles and then one interior and one exterior angle. Please pause the video and have a go at these questions now. Once you're ready, you can unpause the video to check your answers. Here are the answers. Please check your work carefully, and if you have made any mistakes, try and correct them before you move on to the next section. One of my favourite facts is that a megagon is a shape that has 1,000,000 sides. Assuming that it's regular, can you use that fact to work out the sum of all of its interior angles, one of its interior angles, and one of its exterior angles? Pause the video and have a go at it, and once you've completed this, unpause and I'll go through a solution of what I think the answer is. Here are the answers. For part A, I've said that n is equal to 1,000,000 because that's the number of sides. So I've then done 1,000,000 take away 2 times by 180, which gives me 179,999,640 degrees for the sum of interior angles. For part B, I then need to divide this answer by 1,000,000, which gives me 179.99964 degrees for one interior angle. And lastly, I need to do 180 degrees, take away the 179.99964, which gives me an answer of 0.00036 for one of my exterior angles. Some of you may have got 3.6 times 10 to the minus 4 in your calculator, and therefore you're going to need to use your standard form conversions to get it as an ordinary number. Lastly, we can use these rules to find missing angles in irregular polygons. There's a few simple steps that you need to follow, and I'm going to go through them for you now. Firstly, you need to recognise what shape it is that you're given. So my particular shape here is a hexagon, and I know that a hexagon has 6 sides. Step 2 is to work out the sum of interior angles inside your shape. So therefore, because I have 6 sides, I know that n is going to be 6, and I can do 6 take away 2 times by 180 degrees. If I need to, I can use my calculator to work that out. So therefore, in brackets, I've got 6 minus 2. I then want to times it by 180. That gives me an answer of 720 degrees. So the sum of interior angles for this particular question should be 720 degrees. Step 3 is then to work out the sum of the angles you've been given inside the shape. So I have 140, 130, 120, 88 and 150. To work out this answer, I can again use my calculator. So 140 plus 130 plus 120 plus 88 plus 150 gives me a grand total of 628. Therefore, the sum of all the angles that I'm given is 628 degrees. Lastly, I can work out my missing angle by subtracting the sum of all of the angles that I'm given away from the sum of the interior angles. So 720 is the sum of all of them. Take away 628 is the angles that I've been given, and that will give me my missing answer for x. Again, if I need to, I can use my calculator to work this out. So 720 subtract 628 gives me an answer of 92 degrees. Here are some questions for you to have a go at. They're attached to Show My Homework in the Resources to Help You section if you prefer to print them off. Please make sure you show all of your working out in your maths book. Pause the video now and have a go at these questions. When you're ready to check your answers, resume the video. Here are your answers. The values in blue represent the sum of the interior angles for each shape, and the numbers in yellow are the missing angles that you are asked to calculate. Please check your answers very carefully, and if you have made any mistakes, try and fix them. Once you have done this, take a photo of all of your work from today and submit it on Show My Homework so I can see how you've got on. For those of you who want a bit of an extension, I have put an angles in Polygon challenge on Show My Homework for you to have a go at. This is not compulsory and you do not have to have a go at it if you do not wish to. The answers to this challenge are also attached to Show My Homework so you can check to see how you get on. If you do have a go at it, please put your attempts in a picture on Show My Homework for me so I can see how you've got on with it. If you are struggling to complete some of the work from today's lesson, then please do not hesitate to get in touch via comment on Show My Homework. I'll try to make myself as available as possible and get a reply to you as quickly as I can. If the issue requires a little bit more input from myself, I might ask to arrange a time to meet on Teams where I can give you some personalised help with that specific problem.